I work at an overnight cafe. We are not a tourist stop. My name is Axel and I work as a barista at a cafe placed on a highway that gets a little traffic. Somehow we still do enough business to stay open despite our exclusively late hours, but our revenue rarely comes from a normal person. Over the past few months that I have worked at the Drowsy Spectre, I've served things that have no right existing in the real world. Sometimes they haunt me in my sleep, but there is nothing to be done about it. We all have to make a living, right? Sure, there are much better ways to do that, but I feel like anything else would be boring at this point. For a while, I was the new guy. I would say that I am thankful that I no longer bear that title, but shedding it came at a great cost. To hire someone new, there had to be a spot to fill. We lost someone 2 weeks ago. She worked in the kitchen, mostly. But something has been wearing her skin for quite some time. I have to admit, the imitation was pretty great. You'd need some context to understand, so just trust me. But I don't think that the thing that wore her skin killed her. That is still a puzzle we're unraveling. Here I am, rambling. Anyway, we hired someone new. Her name is Penny, and so far she has been getting along better than I even did. It was fun to see her surprised and terrified reactions to our regulars. I likely gave the very same gasps during my first day. Why is any of this relevant to you? That seemed like a bad idea, considering that another employee hired around my first days died under my watch. We have a very high turnover rate, so that wasn't much of a surprise, but it still weighs on me. I guess I have a lot more experience now. I'm happy to say that things have calmed down since my first few weeks. That is to Penny's benefit. Honestly, because if she was hired during the thick of last month's insanity, she might have just quit. I'm surprised she didn't at the sight of a shambling zombie or walking squishmallow that couldn't speak. It just kind of bounced there, waiting. She gave it a muffin and it seemed content. But it didn't pay for it. To be fair, I am not sure that squishmallow currency would be any good regardless. There are a few rules that everyone needs to know, and they seem to be growing each month I am here. I'll give you them so you understand her training a bit better. 1. Don't open the drive-thru window unless there is a customer inside a car. I wrote a little note there, don't talk to Tulban. 2. Make Hartman's order in under 2 minutes, otherwise hide in the freezer. Another little note by me, explaining how deafening her scream is. 3. Don't open the back door for anyone unless you hear 5 knocks. 4. Tommy will try to take pictures of the female staff, don't let him. We actually killed Tom, long story. 5. Always answer Amber's questions, but do not buy candles from Amber. You will be fired on the spot and offered no help. 6. Do not sell caffeine to reptiles. I added that one. Accidentally killed a customer doing that. 7. If Celine's office light turns off, turn it back on fast. 8. Do not use the Guire's first name if you know it. 9. We do not have heavy whipping cream. 10. If a golden eye speaks sweetly to you, tell a manager. What's the rule 9 about? That was the last question I expected. We don't have heavy cream. It is pretty straightforward. Yeah, but it doesn't seem to match with the rest of them. Penny shook her head. Breaking some of the others seems dangerous, but not having something doesn't really seem like a rule. I laughed. Tell that to M. Not all of our employee base is human. M is a pixie, but she is sort of a changeling, I guess. Honestly, she hasn't been super helpful at explaining that one. But I know she took a giant potion to continue appearing human. Unfortunately, that giant potion still made her a bit short by human standards. She was sweet though, and extremely defensive over the long-time employees at the Drowsy Spectre. She tried to turn me into an animal to keep me as a pet once. It took a bit of work, but we're friends now. If we tell a customer we have it, then we have to backtrack. It can be dangerous, Barrow explained. Depending on the customer, it can be the most important rule. Barrow, I still don't know much about that guy. He was human, but isn't really anymore. Barrow doesn't feel emotions, no matter how hard he tries. He had a doll that granted wishes, but it would backfire every time. Then it would torture him until he made a new wish. Long story, but that doll is mine now. I'll get to that later. A cat walked up to the counter on its hind legs and asked for it, and I said yes. When I had to go back and apologize, his eye turns green and he attacked me. I was like, "Mister, that is not allowed," and splashed him with some water. You splashed a demon cat with water? That worked? M nodded with a grin. Cats don't like being splashed, not even a wampus. Wampus? I've never heard that term before. Well, yeah, it was a wampus cat, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look that up later. Huh. Anyway, with that list of 10 rules, Penny survived her first night. There are more situational rules aside from the main list, but there aren't specifics you can follow. It is sort of a learn-on-the-job kind of thing. Sometimes that ends up killing you, but I think I was clear enough to Penny that being a barista at the Drowsy Spectre has little perks and huge risks. Apparently she views the supernatural experience as enough of a benefit to outweigh the extreme risk of bodily harm or death. We are all kind of idiots around here, I guess. Celine, our manager, is the only one with a key besides the owner. I usually show up to the show either before her or just after she arrives. The shop opens at 5 PM sharp, so we get there shortly before. Celine has a very specific order of doing things, almost a ritual. This time, however, I ended up being a little early. That happens sometimes, depending on what time I woke up. There is a dirt road that leads behind the shop and there is an apartment complex back there. That is where I live, as of roughly 2 months ago. Really convenient to get to work, extremely quiet, and paid for the store's owner. Why? I am still not sure. He owns plenty of locations that don't serve supernatural customers, so maybe he just makes enough money? I'm getting sidetracked again. I pulled in early and parked my car. Despite being one of the 2 people in the parking lot, I was the first employee to arrive. The yellow beaten hatchback that has been parked in the middle of our lot belonged to Amber. She sells candles outside of the drive-thru, as well as a stand inside the shop. That no one is supposed to buy. I still don't know what happens if we do, other than we get fired. When I got out of the car, she was standing idle next to her vehicle, waiting for me. I wasn't sure why I came in early, I just sort of felt like it. But when I saw her staring expectantly at my car when I drove, it made me a little nervous. "Hey Axel." I felt a tingle up my spine whenever she said my name, a shiver that made my hair stick. At first glance, she was a pretty girl with a lovely voice. I knew more though. "I was hoping you'd show up early." Amber opened her car's trunk. "Is today the day?" "I am afraid not." I was polite. Who knows what something like her was capable of. "I won't be buying a candle today." "Is Celine still bullying you guys about my candles?" I sighed. This was not a new conversation. "You know why we don't. But one of you will break one day. I know it. Just like that one boy." She grabbed her box of candles and wax, then winked at me. "I bet it will be you." She was referring to the Guire. He used to work with us, but he bought a candle and... Well, it is a long story. Like I said, we have a high turnover rate. Amber went about her business, setting up her candles. I waited by the door for everyone else to arrive. Celine showed up, then Barrow, and M carpooled. Penny showed up last, but with a few minutes to spare. We got our day started and things went as usual. Well, as usual as a cafe that serves the nicest of the night can get. Now before I get to the meat of this tale, you need to know a bit about Tall Ben, the giant at the drive-thru window. He has been a plague for the Drowsy Spectre for as long as any of us can remember. Even Celine recalls his presence from the very beginning, and she started when the store opened. His MO is quite simple. He will try to lure anyone that works at the cafe to go outside. This can be through the drive-thru, back door, front door. Usually he does this so casually that he gets up in your head and tricks you. All it takes is one hand out of the window for him to snatch you up. We had an employee that was only here a day or 2. His name was Keith. I was talking to Tall Ben because he knew something I needed to know, but when I turned away for only a second, he had managed to lure Keith out the window. Days later, Tall Ben returned with a gallon of crimson white liquid. He called it alternative milk and tried to get us to sell it. Obviously, you can see why he is such a danger. The thing is, we hadn't seen him for quite some time. There was an encounter we had with him where he got injured and I think that put him off for a while, but Tall Ben came back eventually. He gets bored and needs a victim to play with. So when it was slow and we were all hanging out around the drive-thru exchanging stories and talking about the new Last of Us show, we were all surprised to see a large face in the drive-thru window. Most of all Penny, who jumped when she screamed. She'd been standing right next to it. Tolben waved, a friendly and gentle smile on his face. He gestured at the latch for the window, but Barrow moved Penny away from it and put himself in the way. Axel, what did we talk about? I had a bit of a habit of talking to the giant. Yeah, I know. We don't talk to tall Ben. It is incredibly stupid to do so. He's back? Celine shouted from the other side of the counter. Hook, don't let the little bird talk to him. So Celine, for reasons I still don't know, never uses anyone's real name. M is the pixie, I'm the little bird, Barrow, Hook, and Penny has adopted the title of New Girl. Already on it, Celine stared hard at me. We all just survived one of the worst weeks we've had. Don't go doing anything incredibly dumb. I didn't plan on it, guys. It was a bit annoying, I won't lie. There was a very good reason for me to talk to the giant before. I don't fall for his tricks anyway. They laughed at me. If Barrow was capable, I'm certain he would have as well, honestly. He's nearly gotten you to climb out here multiple times, Barrow turned to Penny. He could trick any of us. Don't entertain him. Don't even look at him. Immediately, she glanced Tolben's way, and got another wave. Just try not to look at him. That was very hard. His face took up the entire window. Impressingly, she did a good job of ignoring him, and that only irritated the giant. Usually new hires were the easiest to trick, but she paid him so little mind that he never had the chance. So now that you know all of that, you'll have a better understanding of what this post is all about. There are, however, two more things that you need to know. First, this isn't my first post. I've done a bit of writing during my first 2 weeks at the cafe. Second, I described my area with fake names in hopes that it would not be identified. People have skills that I will never understand. However, and despite my lackluster popularity, a group of you guys showed up. I'll give it to them, they were all equipped for a road trip. When they stepped in the doors, it was all pictures and videos. Celine hated stuff like that. They were quite rude to our abnormal guests too. As if the unnatural was a spectacle for them to capture. Somehow they did not get themselves killed right away. Are you the Reddit guy? They were young, around my age, and entirely too excited. I glanced at Em and Barrow. Yeah, that's me. We really debated this stop. Lots of bigger ones, you know. We are sort of amateur hunters, if you will. Finding these places is a lot like geocaching. Really satisfying when we actually land somewhere. Fortunately, you didn't do a great job at hiding it. Thanks for that. Well, can I get you anything while you're here? Oh my god, are you the girl that turns people into pets? One of the younger girls was interrogating Em. That is so evil. Should they even let you work in a place like this, with real people? Are there more of you out in the world? Do you all do this? Em's eyes were wide. She didn't do well with this kind of pressure and it was all my fault, really. Please guys, leave her alone. Oh, what about the doll? The first guy asked. I think they were a couple. The group totaled about 6 people, but only 2 were so damn annoying. You still have it, right? No, I don't, I gulped. I definitely did, and was cursing myself for posting that I managed to keep it. Barrow was not supposed to know. I leaned forward and lowered my voice. I don't have it, remember? Sure, he grinned. Guys, look! His shout drew their attention, even pulling the girl from berating Em. It's him! They weren't talking about me, Em, Barrow, Penny, or Celine. No. They were pointing at the drive-thru window that was visible from the front counter. Now I've never had a customer interact with Tolben. I thought he only cared about employees. I think that is usually how it works. But when they waved at him and tried to get a picture, they may have changed the rules for themselves. The girl laughed, absolutely beaming. We are driving to all the creepy spots to see if they are real. Most of them are super exciting. I thought it would suck here. The one gas station guy was super rude. We make you what you are. If it weren't for your readers, your stories wouldn't get anywhere. I mean, that was true, but that didn't give anyone the right to invade our space like this. Hey, so Tolben only turns employees into milk, right? That is what the giant called his product. We can probably go talk to him? They seemed incredibly stupid. I wouldn't do that. But he only attacks employees, I thought. One of the quiet in the group finally spoke up. Yeah, you did say that. Guys, let's just get going. I want to see the hotel. The hotel is like 2 days away. Relax, we have plenty of time to make the trip, the first guy replied. Not if you guys get us killed. That was true. I think it would be the best to leave Tolben alone. You guys know what happens to people who don't. Oh, like Keith, that was crazy. You probably could have saved him, you know? That hurt. A lot. I didn't really have anything to say to it. She turned to her friends. Look, we can just talk to him from the door. Again, a terrible idea. The front door was the only exit. If he latched onto them or for some reason wanted to lure them out, then they wouldn't be able to use the exit until we closed. And how will you leave if you do that? They weren't listening to me though. Even when I spoke a bit louder, they ignored me and hurried to the door. I am supposed to believe that they had stopped at multiple other haunted places and didn't get themselves killed. Maybe their party was larger to begin with. I don't know. But it is harder to believe than this shop existing in the first place. Hey, Ben! The guy called. Hey, you want some meat? Come over here, man. The front of our building has a slight overhang to block the rain. Our front wall is a larger window, so I could clearly see tall Ben approach the door and lean down towards them. The thing about tall Ben is that he can't enter closed spaces as his form changes to the size of the outside building. It would be a paradox for him to enter a place, so technically they could step outside as long as they did not exit the overhang. I'd never written about that though. Hey, don't do that, Barrow shouted at them. These are your nuts, go stop them. Watch the drive-thru, I asked as I hurried towards the front door. One of them was drunk, I don't remember who, and he was sticking his hand out and rapidly back, asking if to mess with tall Ben. Don't do that. He isn't even doing anything, we aren't employees, he doesn't attack customers, the girl cheated me. It is your story, you should know that. We don't know everything about him, don't go outside. Look, he isn't grabbing Daniel. Again, she laughed. Watch. Before I could stop her, she stepped outside. Nothing happened at first. Tall Ben simply loomed from the corner of the store, staring under the overhang in hope that someone would step out. The girl was that someone. She turned around, her friend holding open the door. See, he doesn't care, we're perfectly safe. This is kinda boring, honestly. Weird, but boring, one of the others said. Yeah, it is late, we should get driving. The first guy, who seemed to be leader of sorts, agreed. Let's go. Don't go outside! I tried again, then hurried for the door. It clicked shut, and while I was pretty certain the overhang was safe, I wasn't risking anything. Besides, I would not have been quick enough to stop the girl from stepping out into the rain. But nothing happened. She entered the parking lot without injury. Her friend did after her, then the rest followed. Oh god. I ripped open the door, putting aside fear for my safety. Stop! It was too late. Tall Ben snatched up the strangler first, taking out the last in line. His hands were huge, so he had no problem grabbing another one of them. The first girl screeched and hurried to her car, and to her credit, she did make it. I think 3 of them did. He waited for them to go outside. He was smarter. Against Barrow's advice, I stepped outside. You brought me more meat, Ben grinned. I knew we were friends. Let them go. That was useless. He wouldn't. I could see the guy in his right hand was struggling to breathe. Just let them go! Throwing away gifts is rude, man. He squeezed his right hand over and over, causing his victim to vomit all over the parking lot. That scream. I knew that scream. Keith screamed like that. They all wailed, but I could hear the giant over their terror. But I don't want to be greedy. Here. What happened next? I can't take the responsibility. I told them not to go outside. I told all of you the rules. Yeah, Keith was probably my fault, but not this. Damn it. I don't even know their names. That's a lie. I knew one name. Daniel. The girl had said it, and I'm pretty sure he was the one in the tall Ben's right hand. He squashed him like a balloon. Crushed ribcage, ruptured lungs, popped heart. He was legs and a head when Tolben tossed him over, splashing in the rain with a wet thud. Blood on my pants mixed with muddy water. I honestly don't know if the crimson dots on my shirt are from the drive-thru's red sharpies or blood. Take it as a sample of a product I am working on. Tolben waved with his stained free hand. He gave enough pressure to shut up the two in his left. I won't keep you waiting, friend. Thanks. I stood there, sprinkled by the rain that wind brought under the overhang. I still wasn't used to death, and I hope I never am. But what is anyone supposed to do with a mangled corpse at their feet? Daniel. He moved. Oh Christ, oh God, he moved! An eye twitched. He groaned something with barely functioning lungs. That one still. Y'all have samples out here now? I looked up to see a skeleton in a classy business suit, complete with a fedora on his head. Now, you will judge me for this, but I could not take responsibility for what had happened to Daniel. The way I saw it and see it, I had nothing to do with them living or dead. The others had already peeled away, leaving their friends behind. I wasn't about to transport a corpse. Yeah, help yourself, I guess. When I went back inside, I found everyone there waiting for me behind the counter. They hadn't come to help or even check on me. Fair, considering Tolben might have squashed them like the others, but still. No help? I'm not going out there. Em shook her head. I think it was pretty stupid that you did. Fair. Did you save them? Penny asked. I then realized that it was entirely possible that she had never seen death, at least not so brutally. How much did you see? It was raining pretty hard. We couldn't see much at all. I glanced back at the front door, noting that the corpse and the skeleton eating it weren't very clear in the dark storm. Well, stay away from the front for now. I needed to use the bathroom after all that. And no, I didn't. So yeah, don't come looking for the drowsy spectre. The people who end up here are either not human or stumble into our cafe by accident. Don't be the next base for Tolben's alternative milk. Don't be a moron. And if you happen to find yourself at the drowsy spectre, you know the rules. Don't talk to Tolben. If you still don't believe me, go here and read more. There are some other posts in here that will tell you more about why coming to my neck of the woods is a bad idea. Get Starbucks or something. And, for the love of God, stop pestering us. We aren't landmarks, and you aren't tourists. You are suicidal. Go skydiving instead or something.